Welcome to the Law by Leo podcast.
Welcome to the Law by Leo podcast with Attorney Alex Leonowicz. Alex is a high compliance business attorney and the founder of Law by Leo, where he works with founders and investors across Michigan and Illinois, especially in regulated industries like cannabis, gaming, hemp, and other fast-moving sectors. With experience as outside counsel, in-house leadership, and an operator, he helps companies build legal strategy that supports growth instead of slowing it down. I'm Leann Lyon, and today we are taking a deeper dive into fractional general counsel. We're talking about what that role actually looks like, where companies should consider it, and how ongoing legal strategy can change the way businesses make decisions. Hey, Leo, it's great to see you again. Hey, Leo, see, look at you. I call you Leo. Hey, Alex, it's great to see you again.
It's nice seeing you. Thanks again.
Alex, you've practiced law for over a decade now and also built and scaled a cannabis company of 250 employees. What did being the client teach you that being the lawyer never did?
I tell people this, Leann, it's that feeling you get when you go to law school and your whole world kind of changes the viewpoint. Almost the same thing has occurred here when you own and operate a business. It brings it all into full perspective for you. So, at one point I was sending invoices to clients, just memorializing my work, sending it out. And then, in the next few years, I was actually getting those invoices from other attorneys. And it really changes the way you look at that when you're the individual opening that envelope, reviewing the billing statement, not quite understanding what has been done and the costs and the variance with these invoices. It gave me a ton of perspective from the legal side. The other thing I got, Leann, from this experience as an operator is it was really like getting your MBA on the job. You learn about employees, the payroll issue, things that have nothing to do with the business, but yet will consume your whole day. And so it's really helped me understand when I am talking to my clients now who are business owners, I can say, like, I get it. I've been there. I feel like I understand them a little better than I did, had I just stayed in private practice the whole time.
You've coined the phrase modern GC for a modern business. What does a fractional general counsel actually do, say, day to day?
It's a great question. So the phrase came or comes from what I see as like a constantly evolving business landscape. So businesses today, whether they're high compliance, regular, ordinary, stamping, whatever it is, are modernizing, I believe, faster than we've ever seen. Part of that is due to AI. Part of that is due to just the landscape and having to move and pivot and bob and weave quickly. And I think the legal side of that hasn't necessarily kept pace. Okay. So with a general counsel, you're usually limited to either one or maybe one or two individuals, if you're lucky as a business, that are with you full time, just focused on your business. And when you're a startup company, that cost you're not able to do that. And even when you're in that middle realm, it's very expensive to have a general counsel. I've been one. There's malpractice insurance. There's the salary. Most of the time there's an equity component. So it's not until you get to that higher level business that you can afford a general counsel. And today we have fractional CFOs, we have fractional marketing teams. And one thing that I really started to look into more and I never saw was a fractional general counsel. There just didn't appear to be anything of the sort that existed. So like a good entrepreneur, I just decided I'll build this. So we started it with one or two companies. I think it's gone relatively well. And it really is working for those people that are looking to stay with the times, get modern, get leaner. How can I get more and do that with less? And that's where I think fractional general counsel really, really hits its stride.
Well, we pretty much all know that the legal industry has been billing by the hour. It's actually for about 150 years. So, why do you think that flat fees are starting finally to stick, and why now?
I think this is what I've always struggled with the billable hour. In some senses, it reverse incentivizes. So, as the attorney, I get paid more the longer it takes on a billable hour standpoint. So it just never seemed to make sense for me. And when you look around, it's not how a lot of companies or businesses don't do that. They just don't operate that way. They give you an initial estimate. Here's what the work's going to cost, half down, half when you're done. And I think this is more catching up with the times. I think younger entrepreneurs and people that are taking over businesses are used to that and would like to see it. And I think, to be honest, just plainly, it makes a lot more sense. It just keeps everybody aligned. You have expectations in terms of what you're going to get, the pricing for that, and it's not so variable where you're left kind of with a black box and you're not sure what that invoice is going to look like at the end of the day. So the predictability, the transparency, the communication, and the understanding of what you're actually going to get, that's why I think flat rate's going to stick and is here to stay.
Yeah, as a business owner, there's been many times I've considered seeking counsel. But yeah, that per hour thing, for exactly the same reasons you just said, just had me stuck. Like, well, they're just going to tell me it's going to take 20 hours.
Yeah.
And we have the internet now, so we think we can go there.
Yep.
But could you walk us through what happens, in the first 30 days when a company does hire a fractional general counsel?
I think without giving too much away, this is really our secret sauce, and this is what separates us from outside counsel. So we do initially, Leann, what's called the discovery phase, and that's a pretty significant portion of this. It's a flat rate we give you. It's usually about $6,500, but what it does is it goes through everything that your business has with a legal lens on it. How are you structured? What are your goals? How do you deal with contracts? What happens when things blow up? Are you revisiting those with the teams? All of these things that we've gleaned as operators or serving as general counsel, we bring to the table to kind of give you an initial diagnostic. Think of it like a physical, if you will. Examine everything, look at it and say, look, you got 5 different things we think we can help on. Okay, here's what we've diagnosed. Here's what we see. Okay, and then here's our plan and our timeline for dealing with those. And then you, as the operator, the owner, get to decide which one you want to slide, how much time you want to do and tackle these things. Is this something you want done in 3 months? Or we can take our time and do this over 9 months. But ultimately, it gives you the control in your legal services and what you get. And then not only that, ties that to what you can expect. And then all with predictable out the door pricing that when you open up that invoice, you're going to say, that makes sense. I remember going over that. I understand what I got and why I'm paying for what I ultimately am.
So what is the single biggest legal mistake that you see founders and CEOs make, the one that you could have prevented if they had called sooner?
I think the biggest thing is trying to do it all. And what I mean by that is, and I've fallen into that trap before, but I see a lot of CFOs that negotiate contracts because there's a financial component. I see a lot of transactions with CEO to maybe another CEO, operate on the handshake basis. I see a lot of businesses starting before they've actually got terms memorialized. And all of that is understandable. I've been there. There's a timeline. At the end of the day, you got to make things go. You got to get this thing going. And so the patience and the ability to have a general counsel who's not only up to speed with you, a fractional general counsel, that can move and keep pace with you, that's massive. It gives you the ability to keep running, not slow down, but also not expose yourself. It's great if you can stack, 10 boxes high, but if your foundation is this big, it's only going to allow you to go so far before you topple over. So a nice base with good contracts, and contracts that your team understands. So one thing that we do, Leann, for our fractional general counsel clients as well is I think it's pretty interesting. It's called the cheat sheet. So we spend a lot of time drafting, negotiating, redlining contracts, and traditional attorneys just say, okay, here's your contract, Mr. Business or Mrs. Business, and go ahead and run off. And that's it. What they fail to recognize is that nobody's looking at that, or maybe the terms and conditions of that. And then more importantly, like, who's responsible for these things? So we create this cheat sheet that outlines all of the major terms in plain language so that ordinary employees can understand what's required of them in these agreements. It assigns it to different departments based on our initial meetings so we can understand your company. And then it puts people in charge of those. So for instance, we used to have a white labeling or a manufacturing contract where we were making a set number of gummies for this brand. Okay. What we didn't do is we didn't keep a reporting record as a contract required. And when it ultimately fell apart, the first thing the other side pointed to was like, well, where's that weekly reporting? And what had happened is the contract got drafted, everything got papered up correctly, but nobody was keeping track of that. Nobody knew whether legal should be doing that or compliance was supposed to be enforcing it. Was the CFO supposed to do those things? So that cheat sheet is designed to alleviate that, give control, and then more importantly, take those terms and conditions, push them into the business so you make sure you're complying and everything is functioning as smoothly as it can.
Wow, that sounds amazing. So let's turn to a lot of the industries you work with: cannabis, hemp, gaming, peptides, some of the most heavily regulated industries in the country. So what do high compliance operators know about legal risk that the average business owner doesn't?
I found those that are operating in the high compliance businesses understand and appreciate legal more than those that are not, or traditional business. They recognize that the rules change. In cannabis, for example, and I'll just point to Michigan, we had almost 3 or 4 drafts of rules before we got a final set. And by the way, that final set looks like it's going to get rewritten again. So as a business owner, you take a lot of time to set up your business and your operations pursuant to these rules. Great, I can make 10 milligram gummies only. Now the rules change and now you can make 20 milligram gummies, but they can't have pictures of caricatures on it. So all of these things that are you've banked on, you've ordered packaging, you've created molds for these, your whole team knows to do it this way. Now all of a sudden they change. And I think with high compliance businesses like that, you're used to those rules changing and you understand the importance of having it. So the fractional general counsel model traditionally looks at the high compliance businesses first, just given the very basic nature that they need it. They understand it, they appreciate it, and the world's going to continue to pivot and change all the time. And fractional general counsel is a nice thing to have. And it also helps on the payroll side of things too.
So if there's a business owner listening right now and thinking, that sounds interesting, but I'm not sure if I need it, what would you tell them to look for in their own business to determine whether they are right or not?
Yeah, I would tell the business owner to really look at their legal side, not so much as who's drafting your contracts, but how does legal percolate down through your business? Okay, and in high compliance industries, that answer is pretty clear. Compliance is there. You've got rules, you've got regulations, you've got fines. Your very license could come under fire. And without a legal department there to really have someone to talk to regularly communicate with, it's like not going to the doctor for a couple of years. Then you come in and you discover you have a whole host of ailments that you otherwise could have taken care of and would have been a lot cheaper and a lot easier had you just done those routine check-ins. So for business owners, I would say, yeah, look at your legal department today. How are you handling legal? How much time is that taking off of your book or your day? And how much are you spending on those things? And what do you think you're actually getting in return? And I question those business owners to look at that through a new lens and say, is there a better model or a different way of going at this. And I think that's where fractional general counsel really hits, is it really takes all of those things that I didn't like about the law firm and I struggled with as a general counsel and mushes those together based out of experience to create a model that helps businesses, does it at a more affordable rate, and ultimately helps companies run more efficiently and handle their legal departments better.
Well, as we wrap up today, where do you see the legal industry in a decade? Where does fractional general counsel fit into that picture?
Oof. I think there's a number of pieces that are going to move this traditional business world we're used to. AI is certainly one of them. If you don't have an attorney that's aware of it, using it, understands how it is going to shape their future, you should strongly consider making a switch, because it is, like all portions of a business, it's going to upset that. I think the lack of transparency and communication with traditional law is a problem. I think a lot of people get invoices, look at the total number, maybe look at an entry or two, and then feel like they get an understanding of what it is they got. Our report card feature, Leann, that we do, pumps out a report card for the CEO with their thoughts and understandings in mind, to show them a breakdown of, like, here's how much you spent with this department, here's what you got, here's how much this portion of your business utilized legal, here's what you got, here's the projects that are coming up, here's their due date, here's what's going to get done. Time is money. We've got a lot of data flying at us. So the more simpler, the better, the clearer the communication is, as we do with our report cards through this FGC model, I think gives you the ability to, as a business owner, get it, digest it, understand it, and feel more comfortable. So I think in the next few years, if you're not changing and rethinking the way that you're communicating with your clients and getting in sync with how they operate on a day-to-day basis, I think it's like any relationship, it's going to start to diverge.
Yeah, things are changing very, very quickly. And that wraps up our episode for today. So thank you to our audience for listening to the Law by Leo podcast. In 2026, the right legal strategy isn't just about protection, it's about growth. If you enjoyed the show, please like, share, and subscribe. And to streamline your compliance and secure your next big move, visit Alex and his team at lawbyleo.com. And we'll see you next time. Thank you, Alex.
Thanks, Leann.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.